Stephanie wants me to say for our avid listeners that we are going to be taking some time off after this session for the summer. So keep an eye on our Spotify and YouTube and Apple Podcast and Google Podcast spots for our remastered episodes. And we'll be back later. Last time, after fighting a giant centipede monster, well, that's not how this sentence starts. Anyway, continuing on their way after the centipede monster fight, the protectors were... Oh, Stephanie opened the sliding door. The protectors were snagged by something frozen in the ice that they were traveling on top of. The dead bodies of a courier from Lady Den and his 2 guards. The guards had crossbow bolts sticking out of their backs, and the courier had been hung, their bodies placed into the river and frozen in place to cover the murder. Following the tracks, the party came upon a halfling caravan beset by 5 human soldiers. The soldiers were tossing the caravan, looking for and eventually finding a young woman. The soldiers were clearly intent on killing this woman, so the protectors jumped in, and Jack magically incapacitated the brutes. With everyone calmed down, the brutes, halflings, and young woman all explained the situation. Some by blade and some by poison, King Steppengard's family had been assassinated. What's more, each of their hearts had been removed, presumably to stop resurrection magic. It was assumed that the only reason Steppengard himself survived was because he had stepped out, responding to a noble who was complaining about a Regessian ambassador. By the time he returned to the banquet hall, he had avoided the poisoning. However, King Steppengard could have been protected by the Book of 8 Lands, a magical tome that recorded the genealogies of the leaders of Dassen's lands and protected them from poisoning. In the wake of the assassination, all those fleeing the capital Bresk were considered conspirators with the assassin and were being rounded up by vengeful soldiers under Steppengard's orders. This young woman was one of those fleeing. The halfling shared that she paid them 100 gold pieces to be smuggled out of the city. Attempting to alleviate tensions, Bryn cast Zone of Truth on the gathered people, and the young woman, introducing herself as Hethel Beckoff, admitted that she had nothing to do with the assassination, but her boyfriend had been arrested under similar suspicions. The soldiers, introducing themselves as the Talon, also admitted that they had killed the courier in an act of vengeance and intended to do the same to Hethel. Taking Hethel with them and sending the soldiers on their way, the protectors of the past continued their trek to Bresk. What awaited them was a kingdom holding back the tide of Regessia and on the verge of civil war.
So you've made a little bit of an implication there, but it sounds like you guys are continuing on the rest of the day from that location towards Bresk, continuing on. Is that correct?
Oh, it's more that I just never know how to end those things.
Okay.
That was a good ending. I thought it was great.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was going to reiterate what we talked about last time as well, because I think some of that happened after the recording ended. Specifically, the part about the hearts being removed from each of the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd mentioned it, but we reiterated it.
Not sure. Either way, it's out there now. So, gathering back up, getting back in with Balin once again, and putting Hethel herself along with him on the sleigh. You guys can continue on from there on your way up the river towards Bresk. As I'd said, you have a little bit of, or right around a day's travel from here. You'll be looking to arrive in Bresk tomorrow around afternoon time, somewhere around there, as long as you kept up the pace.
Well, once we got rolling, I would, and once things had time to calm down, I would actually want to lean over to Hethel and say, Miss, what was her last name? I clicked away.
Beckoff.
Miss Beckoff, you mentioned that your significant other had been arrested under suspicion of the assassination. What was his name? I don't remember you saying so.
It was Jack. Jack Skelton.
Jack, that's your name.
That is my name. And it sounds like a very wonderful person who has great tastes.
Mm.
Okay. Writing down. To your knowledge, when you fled the city, was he still living?
I don't know. They took him a few days ago, like I said, and that's the last I'd heard.
I understand. Well, I'm sorry that we are returning you to the city, but I assure you that we will take care of you. We are the protectors of the past. It is what we do.
Her eyes
Not just the pass.
her eyes kind of look downcast, and she kind of looks around a little bit as though unhappy.
That's all I had. I thought maybe the name would be important.
Oh, it was very important. One of the most important names in the campaign.
Oh,
You
man.
just never know.
We had discussed, we hadn't discussed. You had mentioned that it was getting on to nighttime. I would assume what we'd want to do is go for a while so we can get some distance between us and the guards, and then make camp and
Make a hut.
do Restingtons.
We gotta check that.
Okay.
Agreed.
So you guys start to make the hut, kind of get everybody inside. I was reading something earlier today about how big the hut actually is, and it's really big, turns out, so everybody can enjoy that.
Nice.
10-foot radius is
10 foot.
really big.
Separate rooms.
Not quite that big,
Not
but it's
that
like
big.
Not quite that big.
it's like 300 square feet. So
It's
Can
a
at
big
least
tent.
all
Eh.
lie side by side. We don't need to
yeah,
overlap or anything.
it's like our living room. Like
No
it's a
cuddling.
big room.
no
Yeah,
cuddling.
we don't have to cuddle.
Don't have to.
Anyway, as you guys are kind of sleeping, getting through the evening, this sort of thing, Myetharia, I'd like for you to make a perception check.
Oh no.
Is this my watch, or are you just saying this randomly?
This would be during your watch.
I was
Yes.
gonna say, I don't feel like that was an answer. You just kind of like nodded. I'm like, all right, perception. I feel like I should have
Jack, you can
perception
make one
memorized
with
this way.
disadvantage.
Okay.
Well, we're off to a good start.
Before we went to bed, I gave the initiative thing to Cassie.
Okay.
Think of what it's
7 total.
called. To Winry.
Thank you.
Yeah, mine's worse. I rolled a 2.
Okay. I
rolled a 3.
So five total. You rolled a 3 again.
I rolled a 3, so 7. Yeah. Here, I'll get. Oh wait, was that the one or
Goodness.
was it the other one?
How can you still have more dice at this point?
Rude.
I have the same
Side note,
3.
Listening to the first episode back again, you started off the campaign with like 20, 19, 20, 20. Is
Mhm.
ridiculous.
I
We're
don't
just
know
getting
what
the other
to tell
side
you.
of it now.
Oh yeah.
You did not
Gate
continue
Pass
how
is
you began.
is my
for
favorite
sure.
terrain. Gate Pass is my favorite terrain.
Oh,
Could,
yeah,
could Puck roll a perception check?
No, because Puck sleeps also. Well, sort of. I'm not gonna have him be separate from you.
Puck's sleeping.
fine.
He's like,
Oh.
He's all cuddled in and cooing softly.
Can't even see his face. It's like buried in his feathers.
his
Okay.
feathers are like ruffling as he's like snoring. It's like ruffles down his.
That's why I don't. So I kick myself all the time in forgetting that we do the shorter rest because we're elves, and I'm like, oh, I should be doing things. What it really is Puck is on my shoulder being all cute, and I'm trying to do stuff, and I'm just like, oh, he's so cute, and I just watch him for 4 hours.
Trying really not to wake. Try not to wake him up like a cat in your lap.
Yeah, I'm like
God.
doing things very gently and slowly. Don't get a lot done that way.
Other adventuring parties have to sleep for 10 hours, while we only have to sleep for 8.
When you wake up for the second half of the watch, then, Jack, go ahead and make a perception check as well as you come up to relieve Myetharia.
11.
Okay. As you
We're just
stand up-
surrounded.
yeah, right. As you stand up
you just wake up
to
and you're like,
kind of come over to Myetharia to let her know that she can have her rest, this sort of thing, you realize that in quick counting, 1 set of blankets is missing.
oh.
One set of
Like, not to say the whole thing, but
Oh,
and you
shit.
kind of quick do a head count.
She's gone.
Somebody's missing,
Whoops.
Yeah, she's gone.
and it takes you just a brief moment to realize who is gone, and it is Hethel has disappeared into the night.
Oh my gosh. I had my back to her.
Oh,
Didn't I?
whoops. Probably better for a silent,
I didn't put the lock on the hut.
Myetharia
Oh.
fell asleep, actually.
You're just kind of zoning out, thinking about events in the past,
Oh, as I always do.
as she does while she mows, apparently.
Just don't talk about my mowing thoughts.
Well,
It's like shower
when,
thoughts, but mowing thoughts.
when I notice that she's gone, I'll just spare a thought of good luck, and I hope you are luckier this time.
Did you point it out to Myetharia?
Nah. I didn't. I honestly didn't want her to come back to Bresk with us. I just didn't see another way.
Yeah, knowing you, you wouldn't.
Nah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the rest of the night's watch passed without any incident, Jack, for you. And as the sun is beginning to rise once more across the
You know what?
White
Everyone's gonna
landscape.
yell at me. I'm gonna just poke my head out of the dome and just look around, just like out of the top, like a periscope, just like see if she's nearby.
It's I don't think that the tent has to be opaque from the inside. In fact, I think it's
No,
not.
it's not.
Oh,
You
you're
can see
right.
out.
Okay.
So if you gave it a little look around, kind of walk around a little bit to just kind of survey the land right out, just while staying inside the hut but looking outside it, it's pretty easy to see the trail of footprints that she had left in the snow as she goes. As the rest of you then wake up in the morning, it's very obvious that Hethel is missing, and there is a very suspiciously obvious set of tracks that leads just for a short period of time, and then they actually lead back into your path from the night before, as it looks like she's just walking in line back along it as much as she can.
So, are we going to deal with that?
I don't know that we should necessarily do anything with it. She has, free will. She can decide to go that direction, and I think that possibly bringing her back would have caused more tension with our entrance and meeting with the king. So maybe this works out better for everybody.
Perhaps, but I'm sure we'll still get. And I completely agree with you. I didn't feel entirely comfortable with that either. But we're still going to have accusations hurled at us by the what were they calling themselves again?
Talon.
Talon. Thank you. I
Talon.
was going to say the claw. That sounded so wrong in my mind. Talon. I'm sure they'll still be pointing at us once we get there.
They're gonna point at us no matter what, if we had her, if we don't.
We'll
That's
be
true.
ready for it.
They'll probably find her. She's, as far as I can tell, heading right back towards them.
That's a good point.
Fate is out of our hands now.
I agree with Myetharia.
If we go back and confront them now, we will
And how long has
have
she
to
been
take
gone?
action.
How long has she been gone? 2-3 hours?
Well, why don't we pack up camp and get going on our way? Maybe we can get to Bresk earlier and start our meetings. Okay, let's do it. Start pulling up blankets and loading them up.
Oh, my heart.
Did everyone sleep well? I slept great. That was a wonderful trans that I had. Blah blah blah.
Well, the rest of the trip into Bresk the next day goes quite smooth for the most part. It starts to get a little bit more populated as you get closer to the city, of course. And so by the end of it, you're passing through relatively populous lands. Eventually, coming
Is
over
this where
the
we roll for our
horizon-
feats, Justin?
I don't think it's been quite a week, but soon.
Okay.
Eventually, over the horizon comes the walled city of Bresk as it rises above the hills around it. The castle is perched on a rocky protrusion called the Great Hill, and it overlooks the wide river, which you've been traveling along, the Nasham River, and the Torreest Steppes to the east, which are the kind of foothill mountains. Balin kind of gives a brief introduction to the place as you're kind of arriving to it, and tells you that much of the castle is said to be underground, as are parts of the city, apparently, that are home to several thousand dwarves that live underneath. The city itself tends to be a little opinionated, perhaps, a little unfriendly towards outsiders, a little egotistical sometimes. But by and large, it's not the worst place in the world. He also kind of gives a... Ooh, suddenly Cassie's back. As you kind of approach the city, you can tell that the Desceni architecture, which tends towards the stout and broad, is typically adorned with various great cats and gem patterns and sphinx statues, which, if you've seen before, has to do with also King Steppengard's personal sigil, or the sigil of his house, which includes a sphinx on it. As you're arriving, you find the kind of multiple layers of drab clothing, kind of thick browns and wools and things like this. People that seem unaccustomed to such chill weather are kind of lined up near the gates looking to enter, some of them. And you come up to the south gate, where there's a snaking column of people and beasts looking to enter the city, and a much smaller, much more daring from what you can tell, line of those who are trying to get out. There's dozens of guards that watch the gate and question people as they pass, searching through belongings and glaring suspiciously at foreigners. As you guys make it to the front of the line, and as Balin kind of waves away any concerns or anything like this, Balin presents the diplomatic papers that you have brought with. And you get a little bit of a glance, similar to what you've seen before, a little bit of a suspicious glance over top, but nobody really says too much, at least at first, until one of the guards who's standing on the side kind of perks up, like with a look of surprise, as his eyes make contact with Rayland. And he says, well, welcome back, Mr. Royal. I didn't know you left.
Rayland?
I see you met with some diplomats on your time out of that's great. I'm sure everyone's going to be thrilled.
What is Rayland's reaction?
I scowl and don't answer.
Don't let us hold you. Excuse us. Quick, let them in. Let them in. And the gates, which are open, the guards kind of step aside on each side, and you are admitted quickly through.
What name did he say?
Royal.
Mr. Royal. Once inside Bresk, Balin turns to look kind of quizzically at Rayland, but after a moment says, well, I've gotten us rooms, or at least I've got a path for rooms given to me that should lead us over to the Golden Griffin. It's an inn near the castle on the westward face of the Great Hill. Been told that we can get ourselves a large suite there where we can all stay together as diplomats and prepare.
Well, lead the way. While we're headed that way, Rayland, Royal, what's the story there?
I think the guy was just mistaking me for someone else.
I think
I'm sure
Rayland might just look like a lot of
This is
halflings. I
True.
mean,
Could very well be.
no offense, but
Racist.
Yeah,
some
Winry, are you
races
trying to
just
say
look
that? Are you
similar
trying
to other races?
I
I've
don't
heard
know
that
that
before
I'm
about
entirely
elves. We
comfortable
all
with
look
that.
very similar.
Rayland, you are clearly deflecting. What is your last name Royal?
No.
It does sound
Inside
familiar.
check.
Even if it
Sure.
was, it's his own business.
You can make an insight check if you want.
Terrible. 11. Man, I gotta be rolling better. You're out of here, dice. Next.
You want me to answer for you, Ren?
Sure. I mean, I could
Yeah,
also.
well-
Oh, go ahead.
While
You
he
go.
seems gruff, he doesn't seem to be lying to you.
It's not his name.
Well, maybe it's a really good cover, so maybe you should stick with it and maybe lean into it a little bit. But you know how to do what you do, Rayland.
Yeah.
I just love it. Just like, that's right, I do. This is a real Han answer.
I know.
Yep, I know.
All right. Follow Balin to get to the Golden Griffin.
Okay. It's a short trip from there to lead you to the Golden Griffin. Like I said, it's an inn near the castle on the westward face of Great Hill. Inside, Balin talks to the innkeeper and is able to secure a large suite on the second floor with a main common room and a bedroom for each person off of it. He then tells you, I'm going to take the next few hours to get in touch with the right people just to make sure that our audience is scheduled and when it is for. So, since it's late in the afternoon, I do what you would like in the meantime, and I'll be back shortly.
We'll lay low here.
I won't.
Yeah, I want to go out and see things.
I'm going to a bar.
We
Oh,
are
I'm
You're
gonna follow
effectively
Rayland.
a bar if you want
we
to.
are at a bar, Rayland. I mean, a bar where we aren't.
Yeah, the Golden Griffin is an inn, but it also has a common room, like most inns do.
Is
You'd
it
like to spend some
a
time there?
is it a more like respectable bar, or is it like a...
Yes. It's a diplomat bar, so to speak. Like it's the fancy hotel.
All right, well, I'll start out here and see how it goes. If I like the vibe.
Okay.
They're a bit uppity here.
With
But then there's
Rayland.
someone over there playing cards too. I mean, it's not completely different than what we're used to, Rayland. Just dressed nicer than what we're accustomed to.
It's definitely well kept, well swept. Like they're noble people who are at the tables who are playing cards a little bit, but they're not paying that much attention to the cards, this sort of thing, where it's more about the socialization than the cards.
Any darts?
Not here.
Not even a dartboard.
Nope.
This probably isn't my scene.
Darts are not as much of a nobleman's game.
I'm gonna take a quick look though, if anybody sees me, like, as I'm walking around. I want to know if someone takes a look my way and it's like almost wants to talk to me or something, like.
Sure. Go ahead and make a perception check as you walk. Are you leaving the bar then, or are you staying in?
I'm leaving, I think.
Okay.
I'm following him.
As
We're
Winry
going
wants
with
to do.
him.
I'm
You can roll
gonna
a perception check.
stay here and try to rub shoulders with the diplomats and see what the scuttlebutt is.
Don't say such dirty words.
I have more specific things that I'm looking for, but I'll tell you in a minute.
So obviously I'm very just like put off by the
You're in your own mind a little
yeah,
bit.
and also the bar just it annoys me. And all these fancy lads and ladies.
And Winry's comment about all halflings looking the same really got you off.
Yeah.
And also the racism.
The casual racism that we encounter every day.
Eating away at your soul.
So yeah, I'll tromp out of the bar. I'll stomp my way out of the bar.
Sure. It's not too far away. You can find yourself another bar that's more for like the servants and the help, so to speak, of the castle that kind of mingle at this sort of location instead, and so it's a little bit more run down. It's more like a 2-star bar instead of a 4-star bar, if you get what I mean. So you don't have to go that far in order to find something that's more reasonable for you.
And I'll play darts there. I'm assuming that nobody recognizes me there.
You don't notice that anyone is looking at you interested at first.
Then I'll play some darts if I can.
Winry, are you following him, you said?
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll
Following
a
sneaky
perception
Or
check.
going with?
I'm gonna follow Sneaky at first to make sure he doesn't tell me to stay away.
Because what I was gonna do too is I was gonna go with him, and while we're walking to the bar, got you back here, Justin, to Rayland's surprise and halfling, I'll just say, do you really not know that guy?
What guy?
who referred to you as Mr. Royal, all in Halfling?
No, I don't know him.
I just asked because it seemed like Mr. Ming was involved in much more, and maybe if we had an idea, we could have problem solved together.
Listen, I don't know who that guy was. And honestly, I don't know what he has to do with any of this. Probably has nothing to do with Mr. Ming, honestly. So, let's just forget about it, huh?
Rayland.
Just make sure Rayland is happy with Bryn coming along.
Yeah.
Okay. Winry, go ahead and roll a stealth check, just to make sure. But you have to beat a 6, so as long as you don't roll a 1,
I
I
have
think
a
you're
plus
fine.
10.
Oh, you're
13.
fine. Even if you roll
You
a 1,
don't even need to roll.
you're fine.
You trip and then
Passive-
fall into a
passive
trash
stealth.
can. We still
Bryn,
don't see you.
Can you roll a perception check for me then?
Sure. Gills. Perception, I think, is 6.
While that's going on, Jack, well, you're kind of... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
25.
I'm
Oh, okay.
staying
So
with
Bryn-
Jack.
You notice that Winry's following you.
Okay. Hence the halfling.
While you
staying
guys are...
Jack.
Yeah, while you guys are making your travels here a second, Jack and Myetharia start rubbing elbows with the nobles nearby, this sort of thing. What you guys learn just quickly is King Steppengard has not held court for the last while, but there's talk, or at least discussion, that he will soon in the next couple of days. It sounds like not tomorrow, but the day after. You'll be holding normal court again. At least that's the rumors from the staff. No official announcement has come out just yet, but that's the talk, which means that all of these diplomats and envoys and things like this are starting to prepare once more, because they've had a little bit of an off time as well, because he hadn't been accepting anyone for the past half week, 6 days, something like this, since the events had taken place.
All right. I also would like to ask, or just like listen specifically for, what the general consensus is, if there is one, for who committed the assassinations. Like, what's the rumor? What do people think?
There's not a specific rumor. It's very widely varied right now. What you can kind of pick out from the discussions is that anyone and everyone has been suspected, and there's a general air around the city of suspicion and concern that at any moment the Talon could come knocking on your door and read you your Miranda rights, so to speak.
Okay.
Gosh, that really rubs me the wrong way.
Especially these diplomats, these out-of-towners, this sort of thing, it's very concerning, because being an out-of-towner, they're already used to this, like, slight xenophobia, so to speak. And so they're a little bit of paranoia about the inn, a little bit of sighing and relief as they start hearing that petitions and court will resume as normal, because it's like a slight return back to safety, like normalcy is the hope. Beyond that, the only other thing that you really hear in terms of who's in suspicion, so to speak, is you hear a name. It's Nina Glibglamor is her name. You're welcome.
She a gnome?
That's a good name.
She is... I don't
Right, that
actually know
racist.
off the top of my head.
That's a great gnome name.
I was to say, that's why it just came to my
So-
mind.
I'd been making halfling or gnomes halflings in this so far, because you chose halfling and there weren't really many halflings, just to make things easier, which is why I also had Steph's character not need to know gnomish and instead can know halfling, which is what she was alluding to there. So
That
I'm gonna say
makes
no,
more
she's a
sense.
halfling. I don't actually know if she's a gnome or a halfling off the top of my head, but you hear that she, Nina here, has been a advisor of the king, and she's been kind of put in charge, so to speak, of the investigations at least partially in charge. You've heard her name. She's a well respected, like established advisor to the king.
Assuming that I hear that from a specific person, am I able to know how long she's been the advisor to the king? Like, has it been a few years, decades?
A while, at the very least. She's been there, well established, long time.
Okay, fair enough. Glib Glamour, is that 2 M's?
I put it
Sure
in the chat
is.
for you, but yes, it is.
Went with 1, should have gone with my gut. Okay.
Rayland, you make it over to the next inn nearby at this point in time. And you don't really notice it that much. You just start to go play darts, this sort of thing. But Bryn more so, and maybe Winry as well. You notice that there's a handful of people here who are looking at Rayland strangely, as though he's intruding. Not necessarily, you're not sure why, but there's a little bit of like, what is he doing here? Kind of look on his face. They get over it fairly quickly, but you start to catch that look periodically, and there's like a little bit of nudging and pointing and this sort of thing, and it kind of passes, but you notice it happen.
Can I... Because, well, I came in with him. I want to go, as just because I think it's funny, as stealthily as I can over to Winry once he starts playing darts, and say,
Sure. Go ahead and make a stealth check. Rayland, make a perception check with disadvantage.
Oh,
You're distracted from playing darts. Oh man, Bryn seemingly rolled quite well.
I got a 17. What'd you get?
5.
Yeah, poor.
Yes.
So yeah,
I
Bryn,
better be winning at darts at least.
do you want to play a game?
Why not?
And-
After they do their thing.
Sure.
Well, I just want to suggest
It'll
to...
be like kind of ongoing as they're having their conversation. That game will be.
I'll go up to Winry and say, have you noticed people still looking at Rayland?
Yeah, I think it might be because we're at a bar for like servants, and Rayland may look like this royal guy,
Do you...
and he wouldn't belong here.
That's what I'm thinking too. They didn't see you come in with him. So do you want to try and go like talk to someone and try and figure out who they think he is?
Sure.
Okay. And then I'll head back over to Rayland, grabbing drinks along the way too.
Ooh, Rayland. Ooh, I
What?
rolled quite well too, but
Oh,
I think you are going to
was-
be the better one here.
Oh, he was rolling his darts.
Rayland, with your 8, 6, and 4, racks up 4, 4, and 6, so 14 points. Woof, a solid round. Your opponent, on the other hand, gets 5 points, 3 points, and 3 points, so 11. A close game, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, Rayland, you can pick up 2 gold pieces for your efforts in darts while this is ongoing.
Can I just say that no one is ever going to be as unflappable as Rayland? He got identified as something and it made him upset. We're in a town where it's nothing but tension and civil war could erupt at any moment. And not only is he fine with just playing darts and whatever, he wins.
Well, everyone's staring at him.
While everyone's staring at him. My gosh.
Fuck the haters.
Dominates too.
That's right.
Those were really good rolls too.
Inside check.
All right, so Winry, what do you want to do?
I'm gonna find someone who's very interested in Rayland.
Okay. There's kind of a group of them kind of hanging out together, so you can kind of ingratiate yourselves among the mostly human, what appear to be kind of common men, so to speak, but well-dressed common men hanging out by the bar together, or by a table together.
We'll approach them.
Okay. They just kind of look at you, interested. What's up?
Hey, who's that guy over there? Everyone looks really into him.
They kind of They look amongst themselves for a brief moment, as though concerned to say anything. But then one of them finally is like,
She's a cat. I'm gonna talk.
They reach out to softly pet her.
Wow, that'd be bad.
Talk about racist.
Racism and sexual harassment all in one episode.
There we go. We're really rolling it in now. One of them finally says, he looks like Mr. Royal. He's the Lady Dan's proxy.
Lady Dansby's proxy?
Lady Dan.
Lady Den.
Lady Dan.
So many letters and syllables in there.
La Daisy Denzizi's.
Lady Dansbury.
So he's this Mr. Royal is pretty well known then.
Well, he was at least in court most days.
What? Oh, I'm not there.
So everyone is
Is he
looking
not?
at
Do
him.
you know who he is?
I don't know who he is. I was just wondering why.
I wouldn't have
everyone's interested.
expected Mr. Royal to dress so, well, shabbishly.
I mean, he's not.
Look at him.
He has some nice qualities.
Look at him.
He seems like a nice
He has
person.
a really nice.
I mean,
So
A
he's
really
like
nice
lining,
cat. I heard
as
you,
he says
Cassie.
that, he's lining up a shot, and he like takes a second, like kind of spits in the jar nearby.
Not rockets. What did Cassie
He's-
say?
he's so
He's got a-
uncouth. If it is actually Mr. Royal, he really lets his hair down.
Oh my
And he kind
gosh.
of like gestures to his arms and like his hair, so to speak, because Rayland has quite untamed look.
Hmm.
Has a mane.
The whole
So,
room.
Mr. Royal, when was the last time anyone saw him?
I mean, they haven't had court for what, 6 days now? So about that long, I guess. I don't know. I can't say we've been looking for him.
Do you happen to know where he lives?
I don't know off the top of my head. I doubt he lives anywhere necessarily, but they might have rooms in the castle. Either way, he just looks so similar, but yet
But obviously completely different,
I
given his
can't
mannerisms.
imagine it's him.
Interesting. Well,
At no point in this conversation have I seen them. I mean, I
Have
guess
you
you're right.
seen a cat.
No.
You rolled a 5 on your
quickly
perception.
talking. Yeah, you're fine. I am
You
just
focused
in the
on
zone.
the
I'm in
darts.
zone.
You got tunnel vision.
Come on.
It's been a few days since you played darts and you're jonesing.
Yeah.
It's to the point where he's
Really good
playing, and I'll just
instincts.
hold up the drink, and he'll take it, and then I'll hold it out, and I'll take it back.
Does she buy? She buys him a drink, and he's like,
Oh
"All
yeah,
right."
I brought drinks back to the table to cover
Nice.
myself.
Oh yeah, he's definitely taking a couple of big old long drafts.
Uh-oh.
thanks for talking to me. Bye.
Checks out.
I'll scurry over to Bryn.
Or
Which
signal.
is right next to Rayland.
Yeah, and I'll pull her over to the bar.
You rolled a 5, dude.
Just laser focused on the dart.
I'm like reaching out for my beer again,
She's
it's
not
not
there
there.
for a moment.
and I kind of like look for a second, and I'm like,
And then, it's your
Go back playing.
throw.
She's about to cross in front of the dartboard, and she stops for you to throw, and then she walks across.
They've got,
Notice her.
oh, they've got another Tabaxi here.
oh man.
So yeah, I'll go over.
So,
Winry.
Mr. Royal is Lady Den's proxy. And they think that he looks like Rayland, but that Rayland is totally different than this fellow.
Well, I would certainly hope. Would
Because all halflings don't look at all similar.
well, the guy that brought us here, Balin.
Balin.
Alan.
Balin said we're in sort of like a hotel for dignitaries and things like that. I wonder if this Mr. Royal is staying there too.
Maybe. I'm wondering if maybe I should speak to Rayland about this first.
Regarding
Before
what?
we go, just to make sure he's okay with us looking for Mr. Royal.
If you want to, I don't see any reason why not. I feel like it'd be better to meet him outside of court than be surprised by
You're right.
a doppelganger in court.
Definitely. That would be bad. Or weird.
Yeah, weird. Throw everybody off. It might provide some comic relief, though, lessening tensions.
Yeah, we should dress Raylan up all fancy and see how that
Ooh,
goes.
That would be very fun, but also
we
very
should
hard.
kidnap Mr. Royal and make
No,
Raylan
Winry,
be
no,
him.
no,
I
no,
literally just messaged Becca that.
no.
That would be
My
so
perception is
much
a
fun,
5.
though.
My perception is a 5. I mean, like, I can't.
He said we should Mrs. Doubtfire Rayland.
How much are you guys really trying to hide this at this point?
We're not, I don't think.
Okay.
Or
I'm
you just,
totally
like,
fine with Raylan's game of darts finishing, and at this point he turns around like, "Where did Bryn go?" and spots you two by the bar together.
Winry, while hilarious, I don't
I'll
think
make my
that
way
is a
over
very
there.
That's
wise
probably a really bad idea.
Yeah.
What is a bad idea?
Raylan, can I speak to you for a moment alone?
Sure.
I don't know where we're gonna go. Table.
Just turn around.
Yeah,
la.
we'll move back towards the dark
fine.
game on the other. You know, there's usually.
You can find a little spot to talk covertly a little bit.
So I think I might understand what's going on here, and I'm worried about other people putting it together. This Mr. Royal is Lady Den's proxy, and he's gonna be at court.
Just perfect.
So I'm not sure what you want to do.
Weasel his way into some place like this. God, what an asshole.
Do you know who he is?
Yeah. But you
He's-
already know who.
Yeah. I'm just assuming that he's another one of them,
Yeah.
and not a nice one.
No, he's not nice or whatever, or bad. He's just kind of a prick.
Okay. Do you think it'd be a good idea if we kidnap him and we make you pretend to be him?
Well, I like the idea of kidnapping him and giving a hard time. I don't know if I could really pull it off.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Maybe we should just make you look different. The hat! You can wear the hat and look different.
The hat.
The hat.
Watching Becca dance in the background is so rewarding. She's so excited, and she's also letting a
Why
cat
did she
inside.
was, oh.
Well,
You couldn't hear.
it's an idea. I don't know if I'll necessarily be able to capture his mannerisms or anything like that. And as far as the
Yeah.
hat's concerned, it only makes me look more like him. More than I already do.
But with the hat, you can be whatever you want to be.
Yeah, why don't I just make myself Lady Den? Go prancing around court.
If I guess.
I'm just pulling your tail. All I want to say is,
All Ryan,
Say
What?
it again.
you've been saving that one, Ryan.
that was, well, alright, I don't want to argue whether or not that was improvised in the moment, because it was, but it was, yeah, but,
It's solid is what it was.
Yeah.
I think it's unfortunate that he's here, doing whatever it is he's doing, but I don't think there's anything we can do about it now.
You just need a reason why you want to change your looks for court for the rest of the group. Just maybe because you're annoyed that they think you look like someone else.
You think that'll hurt our mission if I look like royal?
It's making the rest of the party question things.
Yeah, let him question. I don't really care.
Okay.
Oh, that hurts.
Because Bryn wants to go and find Mr. Royal to talk to him.
No, that wouldn't be a good idea.
Okay, I will try to discourage her from that.
You do that.
Yep. Okay, good talking with you, Rayland.
She's like, okay, bye.
She's like writhing,
bye.
like wringing her tail, like, oh, okay, I'm done.
I guess I'll play another game of darts.
Sure. Well, after a little bit of time,
Before we go too much further, I was doing something and was breaking up. How does Rayland know this royal person? What did he say?
You didn't say anything.
He said he knows him. He's kind of a prick.
Yep.
You didn't say how though. Steph knows in my head
Up
area.
here in this
I think,
spot.
yeah. I thought it before Winry went to go talk to Rayland, but
Okay.
here, I'll look at my notes for you.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah.
I know I wrote this in our chat, but Rayland and Winry sharing a secret like this is so funny to me because they're so different. They're like the two sneaky ones in the group, but they do it so differently. Well, after a couple of hours kind of hanging out, enjoying your time, Balin will return back to the Golden Griffin, and we'll see Jack and Myetharia there, who kind of rubbing elbows a little bit, and he'll kind of come up and join you. As he does so, he kind of gives you a...
Now I just picture a bunch of dignitaries who are all standing, just going...
That's not what you do?
That's not it?
Justin, do we have a second? I have to go use the bathroom. You can talk. You can do your
Go
thing, Jack and Myetharia.
He comes back and he says, well, I don't have anything confirmed just yet, but as I said, it sounds like the king is getting prepared for holding petitions once more. I would imagine that we have a day to prepare. So keep that in mind. We'll see what we can do.
You thought about what we should say?
We can discuss that tomorrow, I think. Tonight, let's rest. We've had a long journey. Enjoy ourselves. Tomorrow we will prepare and do anything that we want to do in the and to do so.
What were you going to say?
It's gone.
Cool.
Was there anything that Jack, anything else Jack wanted to do? I feel like you said there were 4 things that you wanted to do.
A few. I think I said there were specific things that I wanted to ask, but I asked them.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if there is nothing else tonight, the rest of the evening is yours to enjoy, imbibe as you will, and eventually I'm assuming the other party members will return back to the Golden Griffin, kind of catch everybody up as much or as little as they want to with their exploits.
There actually is one more thing I want to find out from the collected people, the dignitaries.
Okay. Sure.
What is the general feeling about Regesia? I mean, I know that there was a ceasefire. I know that it's in the notes, I have to look. One of the leaders holds the Regesians back up in their pass. Do people seem afraid of them? Do they seem like, let's make friends with them and get this over with? Like, what's the consensus?
So it depends on who you talk to a little bit.
Okay.
A lot of the people who are here, like I said, are not necessarily from Dassen originally. They're more diplomats, envoys noble people, like in the countryside, so to speak. They're coming in to talk, this sort of deal. But there's mixed opinions. There are some people who don't really care about the Regessians much. They don't really interact. It doesn't worry them one way or the other. And then there's other people who are concerned that there's a Regessian ambassador here in Bresk as part of this, like, envoy system, like, sort of thing that's going on. And so that's a concern to them because they don't particularly like the Regessians. They've had a history with them in the past, this sort of thing. So it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, there's not like any kind of consensus.
Yeah, it's very who you talk to.
Okay. All right, thanks. That's it for me.
But with everybody kind of returning at the end of the night, heading back to the Golden Griffin, Balin will eventually, as it starts to get quite late, tell everyone it's time to get going. Let's head back to the rooms. Bring any drinks if you want to, but let's get in for the night.
How many rooms do we have?
We each
As I
have our
said,
own
it
room.
is one big suite, but there's a main common room in the middle, and then off of that are 8 bedrooms.
That's helpful.
So everyone will have their own bedroom, including Balin, and then there's actually space enough for you guys to leave like your stuff either in the common room, one of the extra rooms, things like this, if you'd like to.
At different points in the evening, I will just side mention to Myetharia and Jack separately that Rayland looks like Mr. Royal is Lady Den's proxy, just so that they're aware of that information.
Once everyone's inside the suite at night,
I'm
Balin...
gonna take a bottle up, just so you know.
Sure. Once everyone's in the suite at night, Balin will set up a little stone near the door, and he'll kind of actually place it against the door, and he does something to it that seems to activate it, and he kind of says, helps me sleep a little easier at night, I will admit. It's a stone of alarm. It'll keep people from getting into the suite without us knowing.
That's very helpful. Are there any windows or anything?
There is a couple of windows at the back side of the suite. Like, this is at the hallway side, and then there is 2 windows at the back of the common room.
Okay.
The individual rooms do not have exterior windows.
Okay. What floor are we on?
You're on the second floor.
Okay. Okay. Well, do we want to set a watch, or shall we just sleep? I mean, Jack and I, of course, only need 4 hours, so...
Yeah, I think...
there's no issue there.
Won't be opposed to one of you spending your time in the common room afterwards.
Yeah, I think we should do what we normally do, which is we stagger our trance, and one person can be in the common room at all times.
Alright. Take first as usual.
Okay.
Okay. The evening watch, the night watch for both of you goes by without any incident. It's quiet. The biggest thing that you guys have is a slight amount of noise in the common room from down below, as a few people get a little bit too much in their cups before they get brought upstairs. And so there's a little bit of noise in the hallways, things like this, as people are brought up to their room. But beyond that, very calm, very quiet, no problems at all. In the morning, Balin kind of groups you all together in the common room of your suite and says, well, after breakfast, says, well, now is the time. We should probably discuss our pitch. First off, I know we'd mentioned it before, but I just want to confirm. You want to be presenting it. And he looks towards Jack. Or would you like me to present?
Out of our group, out of the Protectors of the Past, I believe that I'm the best set for something like this, but you also have a lot of information and a lot of experience with diplomatic situations. I mean, if you feel that you would be more apt for this, then we just want success.
I leave it in your hands. Would you like to lead, or do you want me to?
I would like to.
Okay.
He's the DM. He can't make a big decision like that for us. You know he's going to tell you you have to decide. Come on.
I want to do it.
Well,
Jeepers, what'd you get me with?
Just the eraser.
Oh, I think you pulled my arm hair with it. Jeez. Sorry, listeners. That really hurt.
Jeepers.
well, I do think that there's some things that we can do today if you'd like to. And I'm going to step outside of Balon's shoes here and into the DM's shoes and say, if you would like to, each person can do something that they would like to do to try to get a feel for the heartbeat of the town or to talk to someone in particular, something like this. Each person can have their own time to do what they want to do here, but you have 1 day-ish to see what you want to do. If you'd like to, you can spend some time kind of, like I said, getting the heartbeat of the town, kind of talking to kind of what you did last night, talking to some of the nobles, to some of the servants of the palace, things like this, to try to get more information on key issues, key stances for the city, things that would be good to talk about or not good to talk about. If you would like to, you can try to find one of the proxies for any of these various nobles. You could talk to them a little bit, try to get them on your side, things like this. Briefly, Balon can tell you that he, in his little trip out, what he had heard was most of the proxies are available to be talked to. There are 2 that are not, and that is Lady Namin's, because Lady Namin herself is in town. So her proxy is not meaningful to talk to. Talking to Lady Namin herself might be a little bit more difficult, but it might be possible as well. And the other one that's not accessible is Lord Gallo's proxy. His name is Jinnis Bremen.
Jinnis Bremen.
And he has been arrested. He is in jail for treason.
Oh no.
Like everybody else is.
So those are the only 2 that are not accessible. He'd also say that having put out kind of general feelers in the morning, there are some nobles who are probably more accepting than others of Sequin, just in general. And so I don't remember if I'd mentioned this to you before, but just at a quick glance, those that are more accepting of Sequin as a whole are the more northern ones. So Gallo, Timor, and Dashkaban tend to be a little bit more that way because they're closer to Regesia. They kind of agree with more of Sequin's ideas. There's some that are more neutral as you get more towards the middle with Iz and Den, and then the more south ones, Megadon, Namin, and Rego, tend to be more hostile to Sequin, just in general.
Can we jump in now, Justin, or is there more?
If someone wants to lead, you can feel free to. Otherwise, I will just kind of go randomly and pick somebody to say, what would you like to do?
Well, I would like to say to the group upon hearing that, Jinnis was going to be what gave us some clout in court, and now that he's been arrested for treason, that clout is definitely gone. I think it would be wise for us to figure out why or what the accusation against him is and see if we can overturn it so that we can get his clout back.
Well, off the top of my head, I would assume... I would guess that he has some connection to... Well, they think that he has some connection to the assassinations. Unless there's some other type of treason that he could be accused for.
Balon kind of nodding his head as you say that. That's the assumption.
My guess is that his closeness with Sequin is probably one of the reasons why he's in jail right now.
Who, tell me again, who was on the outs with Sequin and kind of why?
Megadon.
Megadon, Namin, and Rego tend to be in that direction more. Quick reasoning, Rego was the one who had the Sipu incident from a long time ago. He also is kind of annoyed with the refugees going through his lands. Megadon doesn't really see Regesia as a threat. He's more interested in his coffers than anything else, being so distant. And Lady Namin has more ties with Shahalesti and this sort of thing, being on the border over there, and doesn't tend to view Sequin as favorably due to those ties, maybe.
And it's Megadon that has the beef with fishing rights, right?
Yes. Yep.
Well, anybody else want to speak up? Okay, fine, I'll go first.
Go for it, Myetharia. What would you like to do in this day to try to get some more information or get someone on your side?
You said it was kind of difficult, but I'm going to try. Myetharia's going to go try and speak with Lady Nanon.
Okay. I'm going to get what everyone wants to do. Well, we can do them individually if you want. That's fine. We can see this through. How do you want to go about it?
I'm going to use my charms, of course. No, I'm going to use my name, hopefully, and my connection to Shahalesti to hopefully garner a short meeting with her.
Okay.
Casual meeting with her.
Go ahead and make what should I make it? Let me think.
Something I'm really good at, please, preferably.
Probably persuasion.
I was considering it.
You gotta sell it.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Either a persuasion check with how you kind of phrased it there, I think is probably best. Otherwise, investigation, if you were just trying to search for her, so to speak, would have been also applicable. But persuasion, if you're kind of asking
I'm gonna
people.
I'm gonna go with persuasion since I have a +6 to that, and investigation is only a +0. So
sure. Go for it.
Okay. 13, so 19.
Very nice. It takes you a little while, but by middle of the afternoon, you're able to secure yourself a brief audience with Lady Nanon. When you kind of arrive to her place, as she's kind of staying along with, as you kind of pick out as you're kind of locating people, the dignitaries, the proxies, and the lords and ladies tend to stay in almost like an outbuilding, so to speak, from the castle, where they're intentionally, like, it's a hotel basically for these people to come in and stop in whenever they want to or need to. And so you're able to set yourself up a little bit of a visitation there, and she will receive you in one of the
before I go.
Sure. In one of the like formal dining rooms, so to speak. You kind of have a brief time to talk with her over dinner. A older woman, not like aged, but like middle years at the very least. Lady Nanon is average looking, would be the best way to describe her, I guess. She's nothing particularly special, although she's opulently dressed up. She has a large amount of makeup that she wears. She wears large amounts of jewelry, things like this. A quick appraisal would probably leave you to believe that she is vain. And as she receives you, she says,
Sorry, that's a joke I'm hoping that Rob gets. I apologize.
Okay.
Oh, he's putting the dog up. Just one second.
As you kind of arrive, she remains seated as the servants kind of let you in, and she says, Miss Faywarn, I've heard that you are in town for something. It is my pleasure to meet you.
Yes, it is my pleasure as well. I've heard many wonderful things about you. Your name is regarded very highly in all the circles I have had the pleasure of being in, especially within the Shahalesti court.
See her eyebrows kind of pop a little bit as you say it, and she smiles.
Yes, so I greatly appreciate your taking time to meet with me.
Of course, anything for one of the Shahalesti dignitaries.
Yes, I was just meeting with Lady Shalosha just a couple weeks ago, down in Sequin about business here with this awful war going on. Seems everyone is up in arms about it.
Awful thing I've heard.
Yes.
I heard
Yes.
not only when she was dismissed here by our king, but also I heard some troubling news from the south of her future events.
Yes, it was terrible. Terrible storm down in Sequin. If that's what you're referring to.
I don't say, yes, a storm. I heard
Yes.
that it was quite devastating to the fleet.
Yes, it turns out, as I said, I was down there at the time, and it seems as though, from the rumors, that it was Rhodesian spies down there, setting it up to diminish Sequin's power at the port. Quite challenging for Charles's negotiations to bolster Sequin and aid them in the war. But pray tell, you say she was dismissed here by King Stephat?
Stephengard, yes.
Stephengard.
He unfortunately did not see the wisdom of her delegation and her promises, but be that as it may.
Yes.
You say that it was Rhodesian.
Oh yes, there was a man there who
That
seems
has been
to,
proven?
from what I have heard, yes. There was a man who seemed to have infiltrated Sequin's highest forms of government, and he set off this storm of sorts that wrecked the entire town, and this group of individuals set out, and if they had not been able to stop him and the storm, I'm sure that I don't know what would have happened to Sequin, but I don't believe much of it would have been left standing, but was apprehended and killed, it seems, and seemed to be allying himself with many individuals who were of Rhodesian nature. So...
It's good to hear that it wasn't Sequin's fault then, I guess. I'm glad.
Well, yes, I don't know why they would have tried to take down their own city. So, that would be
Sometimes
quite a
one is known
task.
to spite, to cut off your own nose to spite your face.
This may be true. Curious, where do you stand in all of this? You know that your lands lie on the outskirts of Charlesy.
I find myself landing with the king, predominantly.
Yes. He has called a ceasefire, I hear. It's very interesting.
It's been listening at least to the Rhodesian ambassador in dealings with providing safe passage through to the troublesome port to the south.
Oh, why does he need safe passage through?
Not for the king, for the
The
Rhodesians.
Rhodesians. I see. Well, that would certainly clear some things up. I'm sure if they want the port,
Hasn't been
then...
officially decided yet, but that is what I have heard.
Can you repeat that?
It hasn't been officially decided yet, but it is the leanings, what I have heard.
Ah, I see. And,
Go ahead and make a additional persuasion check for me. 'Cause I was waiting to see if you were going to go persuasion or deception on it, so I think you've been more
I
trying to
think
get
you're
on her good side.
Oh, yes, of course. I hate her so much.
Perfect. I did it.
That is an 11, so 17.
Okay. The rest of the evening, unless you have something in particular that you're trying to draw out, dramatic effect.
Learning more about Shalosha's time here and what she was potentially offering Stephengard with her treaty to him.
Sure.
I guess, yeah.
The terms were not entirely dissimilar. They're not exactly the same as what there was offered to Sequin, but it was largely the same. It was a join with Shah Halesti clearly as the leaders in this war.
That sounds about right.
And so she had been, this delegation had initially been turned down by King Steppengard before she came to Sequin.
Okay. And I guess also to find out if the news of the storm has been broadcasted here much further, and if so, what are people's general opinions on it, including the Steppengard's opinion on it.
So similar to what Naman said here, it is known about, it is known the facts of it, so to speak, of like what happened in terms of there was a storm. It damaged the city considerably. It damaged this fleet, these ships from Shahalesti, an envoy, so to speak, of Shahalesti, and drove them off. The why, how, and anything else beyond that is not known. And it's speculation at that point.
Okay.
The general leanings in terms of King Steppengard, unsure. I don't know how much he cares would be the best answer.
That's good to know.
It hasn't really been a point of emphasis from anyone.
Okay. Nothing else.
Naman was
specific
interested
is
in
coming
it.
to my mind.
If you wanted to know a little bit, Naman was interested in it more because of it involving Shahalesti.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to
Rather
think about
than
anything
as
else
a
I could
Dasin
potentially
person.
say. Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay.
Well,
but
you
yes,
spend the rest of...
Nothing
Go
else.
ahead.
I just have a question. I don't know. You don't have to answer it because I'm not there. But how can Steppengard not care if he's willing to allow Orgessi to come and destroy Sequin?
I don't know. I'm just giving you his opinions, or at least what's thought of for his opinions. You spend kind of the rest of the little while here as she's kind of serves dinner perhaps with you. You have a little brief time to mingle, feel good about things before heading out once more. And you've kind of spent the majority of your day kind of locating, getting an audience, and then having said audience, and from there kind of regroup back to the Golden Griffin to meet up with everybody else, find out how they all did.
All right.
Anyone want to volunteer for next?
I had an idea. I don't know how realistic it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way that I can find religious cleric types that might have helped inter the king's family to be able to determine what they did, if anything, after the fact, to find out, like if they did any healing magic, or if they know how the hearts were removed, or if they did speak with dead or something like that.
Sure, that sounds good.
Do you want to specifically know, like, if magic was done, or if like they went in and like took their hearts out with a cleaver or something like that?
Yes.
Or okay, more like the specifics of what happened.
Yeah.
The first thing that you can pick out is that a large influence on Desceni religion here is it's called a cave goddess in the book. Donhafreya is her name. She is a lesser goddess of, it's called Earth, Healing, and War are her domains, but she is devoted to an equal mixture of militarism and medicine, would be the best way of kind of phrasing it. Donhafreya. And so they're kind of clerics, they're prelates, have earned a lot of respect here in the Dasin in general. They serve in the army some. They kind of show a lot of this sort of balance of healing and military, like I said. They're also on pretty good terms with the Order of the Aquiline Cross, who more deals with the healing side of it than the military side, but they still see relative eye to eye with each other. Trying to locate specific ones or specific people, go ahead and make either a charisma check or an investigation check, kind of similar.
I don't know if it helps anybody, but Lord is also respects Don Hoffria.
I'm gonna do a charisma because it's +1 instead of -1.
That sounds perfect.
I still have inspiration too, which I just realized. Which I'm gonna use because I just rolled a 1, so I just roll again.
Yep.
That's a total of 4. Rolled a 3.
You have a hard time finding the actual people that did anything themselves. But you can kind of hear second or third hand from people as you kind of do some searching, talking to people. There's 2 predominant rumors that are going on. And they're similar, but slightly different in details. In both rumors, between the time that the bodies were discovered and the bodies were brought somewhere, the hearts were removed. In one story, they were removed cleanly using what looked to be a knife or something of this nature. In the other story, they were removed brutally, almost as though some claw hand scooped in and just removed it from the chest cavity. Unclear if it's being overly dramatic and having fun with the rumor, so to speak, or if the more sterile explanation is the more correct one. But either way, those are the kind of 2 rumors that are ongoing about the bodies and what occurred with them.
And to
what
clarify,
they agree upon, sorry, let me finish. What they agree upon afterwards is that the bodies all, when it was determined that they could not be recovered further, have been interred and put into the family crypt.
Okay. And so
Why are you giving me such a weird look, Becca?
Because I overthink everything, and suddenly, like, a whole
Just
bunch of
making
people
sure.
were just put into the family crib. That's all.
So all of these bodies kind of went in together. They just recently had like this big funeral event for all of them about 2 days ago. And at that point, all of the bodies were laid to rest.
So as a general feeling then, just to clarify, it is the feeling I get from people, it is a bad thing that the heart's removed. It wasn't part of some rite or thing like that.
Yes, absolutely. It was shocking. It's one of those rumors that's going around, like Cassie's been watching Stranger Things, so it's one of those kind of rumors where it's like, the hell happened to these kids?
Okay. That's all I got, because I rolled like shit. Oh, dang it.
Are you watching season 4, Cassie?
Yes.
Is it good?
Yeah. I just
Don't derail us too far.
3 and
Yeah,
4. Sorry.
Afterwards.
Jack, Rayland,
Ryan,
Winry.
Ryan, you got yours figured out? Or
Use figured out.
Cassie? If not, I've got mine.
I think so.
I've got mine, but if you want to go, feel free. I could go. It's up to you.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna slip away surreptitiously. This time I'm gonna make sure that I'm not followed by anybody.
There's no cat behind you.
Okay.
And I'm gonna seek out Royal.
Ooh.
Rex Royal. Let's do it.
Okay. Go ahead and make a charisma check, but do it with advantage.
Because you look like the person you're asking for.
Well, sort of. You have more connections that you might be able to take advantage of because of his being here, his presence.
Charisma check? What is it? Like
Just
what
a standard charisma bonus.
Okay. Let's see here. That's 11.
With advantage.
Oh yeah, thank you.
It's 11. Okay. It similar to Myetharia, takes you a large portion of the day, but eventually you wind up somewhere pretty similar to Myetharia, actually. After a sequence of searching and discussing things like this, you find out that he is staying similar to where Lady Namin was staying, at this like effective hotel-ish area that's off the side of the castle. As you hear about it, though, you actually get a message that comes out to you instead. And the message says, as I see everyone stop, get attentive, start writing notes, prepared.
I've been writing notes the whole time.
It says to, I need to find a quick note for myself. Oh, I didn't have one. I was meant to write a name of an inn. Meet me at the Curled Paw. 9 p.m. You recognize the script. It looks... Yeah, you recognize the script.
I recognize the script, I'm sure. Or whether... I recognize this... I mean... Would I though?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I won't. Okay, yeah, we won't get into that. But okay, fine. 9 o'clock. So until then, I guess we can either proceed until 9 o'clock, or Jack can do his.
We can just keep going. I was just doing one through to the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you kind of scope out the lay of the land, so to speak. The curled paw, it looks like a sphinx's paw, but it's almost curled as though it's like beckoning, almost like welcoming, like come in kind of look. It's a little bit awkward and a little bit creepy, to be honest.
Is it?
It's a tavern, a pure tavern, and it's a pretty seedy place.
Fantastic.
When you get there, you kind of get the lay of the land, kind of get the watered down drinks as you might have expected at this sort of a place. Eventually, you see a halfling, similar stature to yourself, walk into the room. He is cloaked up with a big black hood and cape that goes beyond it, and he kind of has it pulled around himself as much as he can, but it doesn't stop you from noting that within is a elaborate set of purple and gold robes with kind of gold trim around them. They look opulent. They look every bit what raises your hackles. And as he slips into the bar, he catches eyes with you, and slides over, kind of keeping the hood pulled down as much as he can, and slides up next to you and says, "I've heard you've been asking about me."
See, you've done well for yourself.
We do what we must. You know about that.
Yeah, I would. I just figured I'd meet you before maybe we met in a public forum where people started getting curious. What do you want to do about this?
You're my cousin. Don't worry about it.
Cousin it is.
We can make this work.
I do want to know one thing. Or rather, maybe we can exchange some information. Because I know some things that you might want to know as well.
You like an exchange?
I'll go first. On our way here, we ran into some trouble. And one of your courtiers and his attachment were killed by some Talons. Have you heard about this?
They didn't make it, huh?
No. You want to share with me what that message was? That they were trying to get to Lady Den?
Just keeping her abreast of situations within the capital.
Any reason that these courtiers were made not to meet Lady Den?
Well, there wasn't supposed to be anyone leaving the town. My guess is they were sloppy and got caught.
Why risk it?
Sometimes news is more valuable and worth potential sacrifice.
Well, they didn't make it. And if you'd care to share any of that news with me, I'd greatly appreciate it. I am, after all, your cousin.
Well, all I can say, part of the message, is that a certain, let's say, gnome in court, a certain halfling in court has been overtly hostile recently. Despite her magical background.
Openly hostile. Hostile to who?
To our neighbors to the south.
Gotcha. Well,
Keep your wits about you. Go ahead and make a quick perception check for me.
it's an 8.
You catch a slight waft of what seems like women's perfume coming off from him as his coat kind of, or his cloak kind of wafts a little bit, and it
Fucking God.
for just a brief moment there's like this slight gag reflex in the back of your like as it comes across, but just a brief little bit.
Disgusting. I'll say that out loud, but I won't pursue it further.
He kind of raises a knowing eyebrow and kind of, this isn't quite a wink that passes by, but there's a rueful shake of the head.
Well, if there's anything more you can help me with.
You know what I want.
Can I roll an insight into that?
Sure, absolutely.
17.
Do you want me to say it out loud or not?
You can whisper and then I'll determine if you don't mind. Just because I am blanking a little bit on. I mean, I think I know what he wants.
How long did you guys plan your backstory?
Yeah, I can't believe how like covert and like
fuck.
serious this is, and we haven't gotten a single piece of information out of this.
He says,
Yeah, you can.
You
can
have
share
it.
You can share it. Go ahead. Let's have some
I
fun.
want the name, and I want you to grovel and debase yourself for me.
Are we drinking?
There's drinks there. You can have drank it or not, but he is not. He has it like in front of him in one hand. And he's just like staring at it as he says this, not looking at you purposefully.
So he'll say, I'll grovel all that. I'll kind of like slam the the drink down very quickly, like it sloshes around and splashes onto the bar, and Rayland will say, "No, not happening." And with that, he'll leave.
You can hear him kind of chuckling to himself as you walk away in a storm. As he
Goddamn.
and off into the distance, Rayland goes.
Yeah, I'll mumble about him being like a kind of a pervert and goddamn pervert. God,
Well, I feel like this probably changed what Winry was going to do.
sorry, Cassie.
I wasn't gonna go to him. I was gonna tell Bryn not to. I was gonna try to find the noble that took the king away from the dinner.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Going high level.
Go ahead and this one I don't think is necessarily charisma based. So go ahead and make an investigation check.
Oh no.
Because I think this entirely is like sleuthing.
Uh,
You can make it with charisma though. Do a charisma investigation if you can. Are you proficient in investigation?
no.
Okay, then just a straight charisma roll is fine. I'm good with that. That's what I probably should have been doing for everybody. Charisma investigation.
Me?
I
Eight.
forget how we
20
rolled that.
total.
Very nice.
Wow.
It takes a while. It takes a lot of asking around, especially servants, the cooks, this sort of people who you try to get in touch with, try to kind of figure out who might have been meeting with the king, who might have been looking for him on that night. Eventually, you are informed that, or at least the best that you can get to is it seems like there was a cook who, or not a cook, what do I want to call him? Not like a butler, but like a server. That's what I wanted. Who passed a message to the king that was from a Aramak Dashkoban.
Oh my.
I'm pasting it.
Wait for
Give
you to
me a
copy that
second.
paste.
Is that the Dashkoban?
This is not. This is his proxy, though. It is his cousin. And that is who apparently the message came from to the king that he wanted to talk about something. The only detail, or whatever you might think of detail of what it was about, was that the Dashkoban did not seem particularly pleased when he was asking for this and like sending this message through to get to the king. And that's kind of what was relayed through this server was Aramak Dashkoban is here to see you. He looks unhappy. He wants to further discuss a point of order from earlier today. Was basically what the message was that went through.
Can I find out if the king looked relieved to get this message?
So you're talking to this particular server, we'll say, and not that
Surprised?
surprised is fair, but not necessarily massively. I think that from what the server could tell you, it didn't feel like he was too surprised to hear that a message was coming from Aramak Dashkoban. Not that he was like, thank goodness it's come, or anything like this, but it's like a rueful, I thought this might be coming kind of thing, was the general response as he excused himself from his dinner.
But he wasn't annoyed that his dinner was getting interrupted.
Not overly annoyed, at least. The king is, as had been mentioned
Used to it.
previously, this is kind of not necessarily too far outside of the realm of normality for him. And it seemed like discussing something that had been like further clarity on something that was discussed earlier in the day. It felt like something that the king was like, thought this might happen, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought he was going to be mad about that kind of response.
Can I go a bit further and ask who the cook was that night?
There was not just one cook. There are many cooks in the castle, and as such, they kind of work together. So there was a handful of people who were working. They don't just serve the king too. They also serve the people, the emissaries, the proxies, any ladies or lords that are in this sort of thing. Anyone who's staying in that quote unquote hotel, as I've called it so far, all of them would be served by the same set of cooks, the same kitchens.
But only their food was poisoned.
Seemingly, at least. The last thing that I'll give you, just as a freebie, as a bonus, because it's written here and I think it's hilarious. One of Emirok Dashkoben's vices, I wrote this myself, by the way, I just thought it was funny, is that he and Lord Dashkoben both share a particular taste as a vice for the dandelion ale from Shahalesti. Did I write that before?
Yeah, it's in the.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I did.
Likes it.
Yeah, for the dwarf, yeah.
I wanted to make sure it got put out there at some point.
I was trying to go back and see if he put races in when he did all those descriptions, but he didn't.
He's dwarven, yes.
He did for some of them, yeah.
Well, I did mention Dashkoben is the only dwarf.
That's true. Yeah.
As such, all the rest of them basically are humans. I guess I'll give you one different thing then that is different from that, because apparently you already had that. There is concern now from Dashkoben that even the castle servants would know at this point, which is that he doesn't like Lord Gallo's man being arrested. And the reason for that is any escalation that might take place, his lands are between Gallo and Bresk. And so he's concerned that his lands might become a battlefield if it really came more than that. How's that for a little bonus?
Pretty good.
I'm glad that this is what the session was, because now we have a month to
stew on the information and
Make
go
connections.
Charlie on this.
Exactly.
Well, Jack, what was your day spent doing?
I am gonna go find Jinnis. He is. What was funny?
Your face recognition.
Yeah, I had to. I also don't know where my. Oh, it's right there. So I assume that he's being held in a prison somewhere.
So when you start asking about Jinnis Bremen around a little bit, even very nervous looks from people. It isn't exactly secret that Jinnis Bremen was arrested for treason to the crown. As such, with kind of political prisoners, they're kept in the dungeons of the castle. That'd be your assumption here, and that's kind of the assumption of people around. But there's also a very big reticence to talk about the issue for fear of, bringing it up too much and concerns and aspersions being cast in their direction next.
All right, well, first of all, when I start talking to people, I want to cast Enhance Ability on myself to give me advantage on charisma checks. I want to know... Whoops. Is anyone willing to talk openly about, if there was any evidence presented for this, or was it just, a political hit job?
There's little known, would be what I would say. Nothing has been announced, really. It's just become, common street knowledge, so to speak, where everyone is Proxy Jinnis got arrested for treason. And it's just spread like wildfire throughout the city. Any details? Not known.
Yeah, alright. So, I'm gonna go for broke. I'm gonna try to go to the castle and see if I can get into the... I'm gonna use my Scroll of Pedigree as a important highborn member of Shahalesti Court in Kalanis.
Do I have one of those?
Huh?
Are you noble background?
I said, sorry, do I have one of those?
Your
Sorry, go
noble
on.
background. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to talk to him.
You chose a different background. I don't worry about the technicality of carrying a scroll with you. I consider you to be noble. So, that was that.
She was so offended by that.
Oh,
I don't get a scroll of pedigree.
I thought that was Craig crashing out. So
I'll stand up straighter. I'll get a stern look on my face and say, not even a member of the court of Calanus. And I'll present him the scroll of pedigree and say, I demand an immediate meeting with Ginnis Bremen, a good friend of the court, and someone who needs to be spoken with immediately, with a huge air of authority and seriousness. Don't make me roll intimidation, Justin. Come on. Or wait, actually,
Yeah.
it'd be okay.
I actually
So-
want you to roll. I'm trying to think of what I want you to roll. I guess intimidation is probably the closest. I'll go with that.
All right, well, it's a charisma skill, so that's good. That's a natural 1 to start.
Good start.
Going with a different die. Hey, 20. Dirty
They
20.
look amongst themselves briefly as they like, do I really want to, like, who am I more afraid of pissing off for a moment as they look at each other? And one of them says, I guess we can involve the captain at least. And so one of the guards quickly turns around, opens the doors and heads inside for a moment as they kind of stand there awkwardly with you as you're kind of looming as much as you can in your outfit.
And I'll go, where are my manners? Of course. And I'll use my cloak and turn my clothes into much more like fitting clothes for a highborn person. Say, traveling clothes, you must understand. So like purples and blues and golds and like flowing everything. And
after a little bit of time, a captain of the guard comes out and he begins talking to you and he says, takes a moment just to take you in first. And then he says, there is no admittance to the castle Steppengard today. Tomorrow, he will be having petitions once more. You may see him and ask anything that you will at that petition. There is no one here who can give you permission to enter, nor to speak to any who may or may not be contained within.
well, this is quite unacceptable.
I understand your outrage, and yet I am unable to provide you admittance.
I apologize. I believe I am at quite a higher rank than you, sir. I will speak my words. Damn it.
You can see the guard
Dealt
kind
with
of,
this
the guard
too
captain
many
kind of
times.
bites his tongue a little bit.
Ginnis is a family friend, someone that I trust implicitly, and for him to be arrested on belief or any evidence of vile activity is pure nonsense.
Let me interject, sir.
What evidence do you have? I didn't let him
Treading
interject.
dangerous grounds. I remind you once more, there is no admittance today. If you
I just
want to
add that
tomorrow, you will be able to talk to the king through the petition system.
Jack's got like back sweat like dripping down at this point.
Jack doesn't back sweat, does he? That's
You
only
can
for
actually
like.
see the guard
Only for
captain
a-
himself has a little couple of beads of sweat of I don't know if I quite want to say of, but he looks like
Oh.
he's not scared perhaps, but concerned.
What is your name, sir?
I am the captain of the guard.
Named.
You have no right to my name.
Very well.
I am
Captain of the
captain.
guard. Captain of the guard. That will come up plenty when we discuss with the king tomorrow.
I understand, and I am willing to submit.
Yeah, this bro's dealt with this shit way more times than you can count.
Can I... Is there any way for me to tell what might make this guy crack a little bit? I see the sweat. I see that he's giving me a stone treatment. Is there
Make an insight
anything I
check.
can pick up on? Ooh, that's decent. Nah, that's okay. 15.
What I would say is, contrary to you thinking that you might have a way to crack him from his sweat, it seems like he's more concerned with having to do something that he doesn't want to do.
Oh.
What he's concerned about is that you're going to push this too far and he's going to have to arrest you.
Oh.
He doesn't want to have to do that to a foreign dignitary. As he, it's not a good look, and it's not something you necessarily want your name attached to, and it's more of just like a,
Too much paperwork.
I really don't want to have to deal with this. Please, don't announce yourself as Jinnis's friend another time, or I might have to arrest you.
All right. I'll look at him and I'll my shoulders will slouch a little bit and I'll kind of deflate a tiny bit, and I'll use my cloak and turn it back into what I was wearing before, and I say, "All right, I will level with you, sir. That was very uncomfortable. I'm a member of the adventuring party, the Protectors of the Past. We're from Sequin. We were able to stop the storm that was going to destroy the town. I was told about Jinnis. I've never met him before. That was a complete fabrication. I apologize for it. I
Make
was
a persuasion check.
by his son. Oh, natural 2, not a good start. Natural 20.
Okay.
I was told by his son that we should speak with him. We did not expect him to be arrested under suspicion of treason, and it puts us in a very bad spot. The reason we're here is to try to find a way to calm tensions so that we can reunite the kingdom. And it seemed like Jinnis was our only option, and now that's gone. And I'm trying to find a way to reestablish that.
His face kind of softens as he takes in your plight a little bit, not in terms of necessarily letting you in, but in terms of, oh, thank goodness. It's like, I didn't arrest this guy. Thank goodness I didn't do anything. He's like, I understand your concern. The problem is, none are allowed in to see political prisoners. It's just not done. The man was arrested by the Talon. He's held in the dungeons as far as I am aware. And anything more beyond that, I am not privy to. But I know none may enter today.
Is there anything you can give me to work on or to investigate as far as what evidence was brought against him?
I know nothing about it. You'd have to talk to the Talons.
Is there a place I can go to speak with them?
They're within the castle. He kind of,
I see.
as I did, he kind of gives that wry chuckle of course. They are the king's new police force, I guess you could call them. They don't
And as far as
necessarily
you
have
know,
a place yet.
where did they come from originally?
They weren't
they are
hired or
new.
anything like this. They were formed recently, though. They were formed for a specific purpose.
To uncover the
investigate
assassination.
the events that occurred, uncover the plot behind it, and bring those who carried it out to justice.
I thought we were gonna not write anything on your section, honey.
Very well. Well,
Officially, they are tasked with protecting the crown.
well, I apologize for my strong performance earlier. It was the best tactic I could come up with on the spot. It's not my strength.
I understand, but I would be wary of introducing connections to a political treason captured individual. It might cause you more trouble than it is worth.
Not if it means that we can stop civil war. Out of curiosity, when he was talking about the dungeon, did he look any particular direction as though indicating where the dungeon might be?
Not
Justin,
really.
just say no. Thank you.
If you're guessing, dungeons tend to be in the
Down.
Down. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks.
Because I can turn myself into like a mouse and go find him, but that could go poorly.
You think?
Especially by yourself.
But I think you know two people who might just be able to get in there.
Next session.
Bryn is like, hell no, children. You're all grounded.
Terrible idea.
well,
Oh, Mom.
as he said his thing, so I'll just say again, I apologize. I hope we can meet on better notes in the future. But I respect that you wish to do your job to the best of your ability, and that is respectable and honorable.
Kind of smiles a very polite smile afterwards and says, "I'm thankful that I didn't have to arrest you." Gives you a nod.
Me as well. My skin does not do well with clasps or things of this nature.
They do
I chafe.
chafe.
All right.
Returning back to the inn, everybody kind of together. I want one last thing before we end for tonight. Balin was able to uncover one thing as well himself. What he will say is, I was able to do a little bit of research into succession. I know it's a little bit of a delicate subject currently, but with the king having, in theory, secured his throne through 18 children, them all being gone presents a real potential problem. One that I think we should probably need to address. Technically, according to the bloodline succession detailed in the Book of Eight Lands, Lord Megadon would be next for the throne after Steppengard. But Lady Namen wants to marry Steppengard and become queen herself. Everyone fears another civil war, so they want Steppengard to make a clear decision as to who will succeed him.
I suppose that makes sense. In a time
I
like this, you always look to who benefits.
I don't know, even beyond that, I don't know that we want to necessarily dictate anything or any opinions, but to fail to address the potential conflict and concerns might be seen as overlooking, like demonstrating a lack of understanding of the political situation. So I would consider adding it to your discussion points.
Shit.
Agreed.
That is all that I have, though.
is just going to want to avoid war because now he's just dealing with potential war in his own country. So it's like, sure, Regesia, go on through. I've got shit to deal with.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, with everybody now having come back to the inn and all of your discussion points and learnings being pooled and combined, and with the with the event looming in the morning of a audience before the king, that is where we are going to end for tonight's session.